Maximum chill, man. Alright. See, before Nugget walked in and opened the door and made the sound, his face is like doing one of those really, he looks like he's dead poses.
Twitch Prime sub received. Thank you for appeasing the overmind.
Thank you, Red Kinks, for the 3 months. Alright, we're going to be casting the Leenock League replay pack. TY versus Leenock. Apparently, it was an entertaining series. So let's get into it. And not have any sad... What? Why is it so quiet? What is going on? Let's try this as well. There we go. Alright. I don't know how that was unchecked. Super weird, but alright, now we're ready to go. In the bottom right is the blue Terran. He is Splice's TY. In the top left, as the red Zerg, it is Leenock. And the one thing I forgot here. There. Is there a possibility to make changes on the required player intros every game? As if they aren't super duper important and we don't actually need them. I mean, pshaw. The most important thing about StarCraft is the player introductions. No, I don't know. There's probably no way that we'll ever get rid of them completely. It's just kind of this really stupid, awkward thing that, like, everyone does it, so everyone will continue doing it. They are useful for, you know, perhaps people only listening, they're not watching. So that's a reason not to get rid of it. Kind of like sports broadcasters who constantly remind you of the score, because you can't actually see it, and you might have just tuned in on the radio. And then... it is really cool when there's, you know, a lot on the line. So there's a huge crowd and everyone can cheer when Maynard does his thing, right? But, yeah. I would love to not have to do it literally every single game in Challenger, for instance. You know, maybe the first game of a series, but, like, is there really a point in it? No, not really. So we're just gonna keep on doing it. And people will continue to criticize occasionally the fact that you're not super, super excited. I already did the intros. They're quick and sweet. And there's no hype to it because no one's here hyping them up. Just good old ZombieGrub talking to herself in a room with cats. Which, by the way, I collected them all. I have all 3 cats in my room. Like the starter Pokemon, but better. Okay, so apparently this is round 2 of the Leenock League. And it gets, it's good. Now, I don't remember why it's good. Does it get crazy? Is it super macro? Well, that's what we're gonna find out. Don't you just spoil anything. But Leenock can certainly have some amazing ZVT, and TY, well, he has amazing everything. So let's not even go into it. He's just as good. Seriously though, Leenock is as well. But it's just that, you know, when we think, or when I think of Leenock, I think of him back when he first appeared on the scene. And one of the ways that he did so was versus Protoss with Baneling drops, yes. But for me, it was his ZVTs. And that, you know, pretty epic GSL finals that wasn't as epic as it could have been, but still was pretty good versus Jakshi. And that's also back when the, like, hallmark of a good Zerg player was how well they use Baneling Muta. Which, really, it's quite sad that it's not the norm, you know, for being totally brutally honest. It is, I think, the better matchup, the better style. But it's not like lane Baneling into Ultras or lane Baneling Hydras is the worst thing ever, right? But I've always appreciated Leenock's ZVTs. A TLDR. TY, the developer of builds, man. He's got his bag of builds, but he's not just copying from everyone else. He seems to really push the envelope, decide what can be fixed, what can be skipped, and he's smart about it. He's very smart about it. So even here, right now, He's bringing out what is not an uncommon build for him at this point, but still is difficult to scout immediately and is still rare enough that you're going to throw off your opponent. So it looks like a Hellion expand, except like the 2 Hellions were like a little bit later than normal. It's really difficult to scout the exact timing though, and then there is a second barracks, again difficult to scout because he's purposely not showing his information. And then you actually get a very quick 3rd CC, but you are able to go into what is like a 2-1-1, right? You have the Hellion protection, even if it's not 6 Hellions, still 4, and actually he's making more, so we might have a Hellbat push off this, again, quote-unquote 2-1-1. Which, you know, yep, exactly, there we go, an armory. Which would maybe do well in other games, but Leenock is not just making lings here. He actually has roaches on the way, and while it's not going to be an all-in hitting TY or anything, it is going to be roaches to help defend against the Hellbats, and hopefully enough roaches once he kind of figures out what's going on here to also defend against the Marines. But that's the rub, right? It's not just a Hellbat attack, which, you know, would have been hitting, and he would have been absolutely fine. It's going to be a 2-1-1, like, you know, the Medivac, Stim, and 16 Marines, or close to it, hitting, and then with a bunch of Hellbats as well. Now, it's not the all-in with roaches, but Leenock is showing them, getting TY to panic perhaps a little bit, but TY really should not panic. In fact, this is going to probably just... Oh, wait, hold on. There's the Medivacs, but Stim's 10 seconds away. This probably should have really turned around on Leenock if Stim was, like, a little bit faster. Because if he's like, oh wow, nothing but Hellions, let's do this, and then Marines with Medivacs jump on top of roaches, slow roaches too, unupgraded roaches, yeah, that probably could have been a lot more dead roaches, but some of them are weak, they will survive, and now he has a better idea as to what he's up against, because again, his scouting thus far has not been very true. Oh, TYY. Why? So now he has a better idea. He actually brings a lot of queens forward. Doesn't have to make too many extra roaches. As, again, like, there's the fact that there are roaches. The Hellbat edition here doesn't really help out, and it's not really gonna be about that main push doing a lot of damage at this point. It's gonna be back to the old, like, okay, you want to pick up your Marines and the Medivac, and you want to fly around and start denying creep. It's a little messed up. They both had ideas of how this game was going to go, and they both were kind of wrong. Leenock expected maybe the Hellions, and then later production, so they could have really done some damage, killed some SCVs, and TY was expecting Leenock to maybe play into just lings, in which case that attack could have been really brutal. But they both survive, and the game goes on. So 3rd CC is slapped down, Leenock goes back into droning, or was already going back into droning, has his 4th base on the way, and starts his upgrades. Now this is gonna be the Terran's favor just by a couple of seconds in that 1-1, but it's really about that 2-2 as we watch Roach games go on. Usually it's when they're 2-2 hits, the Terran 2-2 hits, that it becomes a struggle to really trade efficiently every time. You know, when they're dropping you, they're pushing you with tanks, and suddenly your Roaches aren't just overwhelming them. It's not just you maxing out quicker. They actually have a decently sized army with decently sized upgrades and a decent size of Medivacs. So that's kind of the next point. Now, if Leenock wants to hit a 1-1 Roach all-in, which it seems like he's going to be doing here, actually finding an opportunity maybe to start it a little bit early, as 1-1 is not even close to being done, but he is seeing a very lackluster army, then more power to him. TY's 1-1 isn't done either, and it maybe was a vulnerable point. Those Marines that just stimmed, they were going to have to stim again if they're going to take the fight. But the tanks are sieged up. There's 3 of them here. TY recognizes what's going on, and this is going to be a tough hold. Leenock's plan might just work out here, but double factory production is underway, so it's a matter of time. TY, if he holds the first couple of attempts to break him, he's probably going to be fine, but if he loses his tank count, if he loses control of the 3rd, then Leenock might be able to, well, 1, win the game, but also 2, might be able to actually macro out of this. And TY, I guess, was already setting up towards, like, a faster 4th, so he has the minerals for it, so he slaps that down, but it's all about this attack, and that 4th base might not even be a part of this game if this doesn't go so well. There's a big old surround coming in from Leenock. The Marines on the north side don't do so well, but the Marines on the west side doing pretty damn well, and point is, these Marines are holding the line for the tanks, hopefully. 2 of them finally go down, but 2 on the high ground, 1 on the high ground with just a couple of Marines left over. Is that really going to be enough? Ravager's still alive, so Liberator's going to get a couple of shots, but that's it before going down, and it looks like this is not going to be enough. And believe it or not, I actually don't like that TY split his army like he did. I guess it's not actually over quite yet. We're talking about 4 CCs and still on 48 workers after losing 19 of them. So I shouldn't call it too soon. But that seemed like a successful break to me. Leenock is just going to continue reinforcing here with roaches and lings as well. And while double tank production sounds good, he can't even afford it right now. So I think TY is going to run out of steam, and we'll be going into game number 2. Maybe the miracle hold can happen. And the tanks are set up in decent positions once again. And this time, Leenock is just coming from one direction here, so tanks will get a lot of shots off. But the CC will have to be lifted. It's going to open up a concave on top of that tank. Actually, those tanks as he brings it forward. Desperate to save his 3rd CC. If he lives a 3rd CC... Okay, or he loses it. There you go. GG. But even having to lift it would have been pretty bad. I want to quickly go over into the initial defense, though. Well, because I can. I'm in control here. So TY... Not really seeing that it's a, you know, roach attack until, like, this point right here. Because it's possible they are just macroing behind this, going back into Ling Baneling, right? But he sees how many roaches, and he's like, oh, shit. Again, already kind of sucks he has a stim once, but... Talk about the actual positioning of his army. Like, he had Marines holding the tides of the roaches to be on top of his tanks, which is nice, but... I would argue that... this wasn't it. We're not going to get in position first. That if his army was actually all together, that actually might have been better. Eh, maybe not. I feel like, and this is like, it's like really difficult to have the perfect positioning, right? But first of all, maybe tanks on the high grounds, and then you just have the ball of Marines covering this space here, so... It's less to spread out, because, like, the spread, again, like, it forced these roaches and lings to cover the Marines before they got to the tanks, sure. But you lost all your Marines without doing a lot of effective damage, it feels. I don't know. It's a tough hold. But I think, yeah, taking back these tanks a little bit and having, like, a ball of units, basically trying to take away Leenock's concave as much as possible, right? But in a way, TY almost played into that concave. TY's fair was maybe for a Baneling attack? No, he knew it was going to be a roach. Well, is it possible he thought there'd be Banelings? I guess. But... I figure he would know the signs of a 1-1 roach all in. Hello, Will Wall. I am not a Diva fan. Fish to get Maynard to do all intros ever. I wish. Should get a soundboard. I would gladly not do any intros. Even when I am excited. I just... No. I always figure that I'm not going to be as good as someone else. Dude. Hello, Zergling. Okay, so we're getting into game number 2. The bottom right, down 1. It is the Red Terran TY. In the top left is the blue Zerg. It is Leenock. Look what TY's doing. Look at this little son of a gun. He's got a little SUV out here. Just packed up a nice little lunch and went for a camping trip. And once he's done building his barracks, he'll sit down like the Carbot SUV and eat a nice peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Tell you what. This is interesting. Okay. Maybe a little indecisive as to where he wanted to put this barracks, but there's no second SCV following up. So it is going to be, I assume, a Reaper proxy. But that's really quite weird too, and I guess this is where the the series gets good, right? Because that first game, I mean, it was fun, but it was a pretty standard game. Is he going to proxy everything? Is my question. Or at the very least, the factory. Because one thing about this matchup is that the Zerg doesn't drone scout, right? Maybe if they're highly suspicious that you're doing a T-Rex, they both scout with the Overlord for the T-Rex, and they have like a drone kind of like beep bop over here and over here. But that's a stretch as well in the pro games. There's no way they're going to scout your actual base until their Overlord comes in. And on top of that, they generally expect the command center on the low ground, so their Overlord goes like here or here, or whatever they want to do. What the fuck? Okay, yeah, this is why this is interesting. All right, so no factory. I mean, I saw like double gases and figured there'd be another tech structure, but I did not expect a Ghost Academy. Ghost rushes, man. All right, okay. Look, they were tried. The Ghost was changed in what, like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago at this point. They tried to do a lot of things with it. They gave it default cloaking. They increased the speed a while ago, and people would try to utilize them. Heck, I even did. It was stupid and it was silly, but it was fun. But as far as Ghost Rushes go, I would not say they're very good. They can snipe queens, which is great, but they don't do particularly well against any decent number of lings. You know, like against 6 or 8, they actually do fine, but if you're gonna realize what they're doing, you can basically just stem the tide. You can nip this in the bud once you realize, like, oh, what the hell? Okay, you're doing this. Like, let me go ahead and get detection and a decent number of lings and take this seriously. It's when you don't take it seriously, or like are absurdly greedy, that's when they maybe do a bunch of damage. But all right, okay, Ghost it is with cloak. The barracks is on the way over here. Leenock at this point has done the, okay, what the heck? Why is there no command center? And is now trying to be sneaky about getting into the main base because he figures there's like a marine that TY is probably gonna be like really, really sneaky. He could have just gone a direct path, but it is a safe, and this is usually where a command center would be if it's on the high ground. So the SUV gets whatever scouting it can, which isn't much. It sees a totally normal opener though, like not like a fast speed or banelings for some odd reason. And it's not going to see the third hatchery as well, so he knows that everything is as normal for the Zerg player. And when is TY's trigger? I guess 3 ghosts matches up well with cloak here. And Leenock's not going to get a spore crawler for any reason for another, like, minute here. Although that would be the best thing to do if you're ever, like, are like, what the hell is this other person doing? Versus Protoss, definitely a spore crawler versus Terran. Yeah, I guess a spore crawler, just in case it's like a Banshee or something. But in this case, it's ghosts. So ghosts don't have infinite cloak. But these ghosts have high energy. They also do 2-shot drones, which is one of the reasons why they could do decent amount of damage, don't they? They have like 2-shot probes as well, which is another matchup that the Ghosts proxy was decent in. A Spore Crawler, 2 Spore Crawlers actually do finish, so never mind. I actually thought Leenock was gonna push off the Spore Crawlers, thinking that there's no way he would ever need them until a typical, like, you know, Banshee timing, whatever, but he actually has 2 of them done, which is bad news for TY. Really bad news. And in general, they're pretty fast building. So this seems like a bad opener. We got like a couple of drones and an overlord here. Oh, 5 drones. 5. It's a decent count, but is that really worth it? Somehow these ghosts weren't chased down. I guess because you can't really unless you have mobile detection. The range certainly is decent, so they can pick off drones on the outskirts here. And that's why Leenock made an extra Spore Crawler to move around. It's getting to a lair, actually about as fast as you would usually do. I still can't believe this is like really worth how delayed the command center is, but I don't know, man. He's still building ghosts too. Like, what the fuck? Leenock's definitely like, what the hell is this? The ghost helps out of energy anyways, so that's gonna die. And now the overseers can be made. So here's another thing, is that, you know, I mentioned they can snipe queens. You can, and there was like a Hellbat drop that had ghosts that would do that. That was really weird back in the day, but they also can snipe overseers. So if you see that the Zerg player is only going for one Overseer, you could try and snipe that down and then cloak and do more damage. It's just that ghosts are expensive, and despite having a speed buff a long time ago, they're not that fast. And they do get overwhelmed easily. Back to my original point about ghosts, right? Okay, all right. So we're doing that. We're doing the Hellbat. So this is a proxy ghost build into the Hellbat ghost build. I don't mind the Hellbat ghost attack at all. I think it's actually kind of funny and can sometimes work out. But the opening is just, it just doesn't feel worth it. But I guess the point is, Leenock is going to be like so bewildered by this that he might not expect the follow-up to be as crisp as it is. And he does have Banelings available. The snipes go down to the Queens. So that's not just extra damage taken away, but also transfuses taken away, right? Ghosts actually do a great job of soaking up Banelings as well, but if they don't do the job, then a split will. It was a pretty damn good split. And you just continue rallying forward, even still producing ghosts. What? I can't believe this is gonna work. Again, this is all about, like, if Leenock overwhelms this, it is laughable. If he's just shy of it, then it's laughable in the other direction. And that's what's happening right now. He can't deal with this. With the lings that he's got, he'll need a ton more, and he also really needs more Banelings. But he can't get to it because ghosts don't have that bad of an attack, honestly. Even these Banelings that come in rolling from the south side only hit the Hellbats. He can't take care of it. This has got to be so infuriating. GG. Oh my god. What a dumb build. Oh. Oh, that's so weird. I can see why it works though. Obviously it did work. I can see how. Big fan of the casting instead of just ladder. It's much more enjoyable. I feel like you meant to compliment me. And I'll take it as a compliment. But just be wary of sentences like that. It's far better to say something like, hey, really love the casting on your stream. Would love to see more. The way you wrote it kind of sounds like this, otherwise you wouldn't watch me ladder because it's the opposite of enjoyable. It's true. You can get your games cast actually after this series. So I'm going to start the sub replay casting in like 30 minutes here. I've already got 3 replays set up. I know, Fear Dragon. I intentionally didn't watch Maynard cast it because I think it's the same game, right? It's now all tied up. In the bottom left is the blue Terran. It is TUI.
Enjoy your stay.
Yeah. Thank you for the tier 1 sub, Shune. In the top right is the red Zerg. It is Leenock. Unable to deal with the ghost rush into ghost Hellbat attack. And probably just shaking his head back at home, you know. Just being like, what the heck. Secretly, he wants to go through the computer and just strangle TY for actually winning with that build, but he can't. He can just shake his head. So what do we got going on now, then? No proxy from TY of any variety. And Leenock just once again goes for the hatch first. Okay, okay. Hydra Goliath, that was Bumbledroid. Yeah. Do you do analysis what you did wrong of my own replays, or mainly just casting? some days I do go over my own games and go over where it went wrong and be hypercritical. Oh, do you mean your replays? Okay, you mean for the sub replays. Yeah, I just casually throw out sometimes, like, because obviously all these replays I'm given aren't like professional, so I'm not gonna be sitting there like, hey, you missed the timing of producing your barracks, that's why you lost. But yeah, if people want to do like a different build or something, I'll just kind of throw in like, you know what's really good with this? +1 weapons. You know, would have been better is if you had gone to the main or something like that. If you want me to critically look at your replays and what you can do better because you're looking to improve, then, you know, yeah, I'm happy to. Hello, Tim Tom. Some emote action in there. So far, not much to talk about. Third hatchery, and then TY is going up to his starport off of the Hellion, so no sneaky extra barracks anywhere. This is the true 1-1-1 you would expect in, what, 8 out of 10 for the TVZs you watch? Maybe 7 out of 10. You gotta leave room for the tier axes and the 2-1-1s and the builds that TY throws out every now and again. And apparently the ghost rushes. Apparently that's gonna be a thing. Viking first. No tech lab on either production facility. It's a little curious. This might be a Liberator follow-up with Hellbat attack, which I believe is a TY special. I think he really likes this build. You'll get 2 Liberators and I'll control them very well alongside doing an attack with Hellbats or at the very least Hellions. And because he can control them so well, he finds damage with it. If you try this at home, you will lose both Liberators to Queens in the middle of nowhere and cry all the way home. Just being realistic here. Overlord is not going to be able to scout what's going on. You know, it's why you get the Viking first. So Leenock, I'm sure, has been hit by a couple of Hellbat attacks that he wish he had a Bailing Nest for, and he knows TY is capable of it. He's going to go ahead and get the Bailing Nest at a very, very safe time. Ling denied vision. Saw the tech lab was just finishing on the barracks, which is like maybe a tell, but like such a damn small, and I don't think you can read into it. And it's not for Liberators. It is going to be for the Medevac version of this. Medevac heals Hellions. It's like actually the old standard of the Hellbat push. And then at least 1 Liberator, if not 2 after that. So we'll see. Does he usually get the Medevac with this? Maybe I'm misremembering, or maybe he just has 2 different versions, but whatevs. The point is, this shouldn't just be about the Hellbat attack. No, okay, this is a different. So he's gonna go for the Hellion, drop in the main. You can turn them into Hellbats then, or unless, you know, they actually might do better as Hellions. And that could be the really nice thing you see when you get good, you watch people that are really good. Their choice between using Hellions versus using Hellbats. So he uses Hellions in the main base, gets a decent number of drones, and Hellbats in the natural third base actually. Splits against the Baneling at the very last second and just drops back in with the Hellions as Hellbats. Now when they transform, they only 2 of them fit in the Medevac, so that's the downside of doing this. But if you saw an opportunity, it could have been a really, really good one. Not the biggest. That could have been a lot worse, but Leenock handled that pretty well. 8 drones is still nice, however, and TY doesn't have to worry about being countered. There's not a lot of Lings in the first place, but on top of it, he did go for some extra Hellions for, well, either continued aggression if there's an opening, or to make sure that your 3rd CC isn't denied, as your production is very lackluster if you don't produce your Hellions. You're still building your barracks. Even if it is, you know, a bit faster, it's still only just getting started. So still with a decent number of Hellions, still the Medevac as well. He's just gonna go ahead and do a 2nd Hellbat attack, which I think it actually might just work. Leenock, rightfully so, this is what Zerg would usually do, is to say like, oh, thank God that's over, and then they don't produce more Banelings. They or, you know, don't replace the queens, not yet anyways, and they drone, which is exactly what happened here. Only a couple banelings are left over. They weaken the Hellbats, so don't kill them. There's no queens to actually get those last shots, and there's no lings even to get some of these last shots. He's finally making more, but only after 17 drones have died. It's the second attack that does the most, as it usually goes. So 8 drones on top of the 17. So many lings had to be made. Half of them are going to get barbecued by the Hellbats. And that is a glorious start for TY, who also, now that his production is done and he still has a wall to work with as well, still doesn't have to be worried about being denied his 3rd CC, since I did so much damage, took out so much army. I guess this Liberator helped out a little bit as well. 2 drones are killed by it, or Ling or something like that, and it gets away, so it can come back again later. 1 Spore Crawler won't hold a Liberator in all the places, especially on this main. That was such devastating damage for Leenock to take that I would say that TY is probably thinking to himself, like, I cannot lose from here. But, you know, it's one thing that Hellbat attacks don't do. It's clear up creep spread, and sometimes that's what they can really push and do decent with. And then they take a chance, maybe, get over aggressive on creep spread, and take a fight that otherwise they couldn't have, kind of surprise the Terran. Like, that has happened. The comebacks have happened from this point, but it's difficult to do, and as long as the Terran player is smart from here on out, they shouldn't be letting themselves open to the opportunity. They really should be careful still around creep, even though Leenock's army is not going to be very big. And there's another reason it's not going to be very big. He goes for an infestation pit really quickly. And I guess it is for that hive. To take that much damage and then still try and go for fast hive is very bold. I think most of the time, in order to make a comeback, you'd see maybe a Spire, maybe, you know, like a Hail Mary Spire. But other times, you would just try and squash the follow-up push. So you put everything into dealing with whatever follow-up push there is. In this case, it is kind of immediate. That it is a little on creep, so this is TY being a little bit silly, a little loosey-goosey, but looks like it's going to be fine. This actually saved the tank, which maybe you could say he could have with the medevac, but still saves 1. And that's got to be all that Leenock has because of the earlier damage done. He would be right. There's nothing but Lings right now. No Banelings being morphed. And the tank still here would help out. You could pick up on the medevacs as well if you needed to. Equal upgrades. Combat shields being done. Tank's actually doing more damage to the Marines than it is to the Lings at this point. But here comes reinforcements. And Leenock's not going to be able to stem the tide, I think, as well as he would like. Again, this is not just about surviving at this point, but then also surviving until Ultras are actually ready. So that includes waiting for the Ultras Cavern and waiting for the chitinous plating. And then waiting to be able to afford Ultras, which are pretty expensive. So you really wanted to just instantly, like, nip this from the get-go and just not to worry about it, scare the Terran back into their base, but that didn't happen. TY knows he can win with this, and he is absolutely going to win. Us mere mortals might have been scared, but he's not. And that's gonna be game. GG! TY takes the 2-1 to advance on. I don't know what the results were from the Alima League, so don't ask.